So today we're going to take a look at one of the most interesting games of Ascent I think I've ever seen, and that is because it's being a part of the Night Arena Freeze-Out tournament. And I mentioned this yesterday about how the drafting could get pretty interesting and whatnot, and this is perhaps the best example of it, because of course in this format, in this Freeze-Out format, when you draft an agent, your opponent can't have it, right? And that's the thing. You're not only drafting for you, you're drafting so your opponent can't have. And this is a perfect example of it. We're going to watch TSM versus No Future. And what's going to happen here is I was talking about this yesterday of what would be your first pick on each map, right? Because let's take Ascent, which is the map we're going to take a look at. You know, you probably are thinking like, who's the best agent on Ascent? Maybe KO, maybe Fade, maybe Sova, right? Particularly Fade and Sova, they're pretty important, right? But there's Fade and Sova, so maybe we don't need that, right? So maybe let's go with Killjoy, right? Because we think that Killjoy is better than Chamber and Cypher, and we know what we're doing with Killjoy. Let's go Killjoy with our first pick here. And so what does your opponent do? Okay, well, we'll take Sova and Fade, right? We'll take both of them. What happens if we just take both, right? And now you don't have access to a Sova or Fade. So then what did TSM do coming back? They go, okay, well, you've taken Sova and Fade. We'll take Astra and Omen. Now you don't have a controller that is normally played on Ascent either, right? And it just creates chaos, absolute abject chaos, right? That you've now taken Astra and Omen from them. Now it's interesting that No Future, neither team decided to take KO, which is kind of interesting, but either way, No Future decided to take Sky and then Viper. Obviously they do need a controller at this point. You know, with TSM potentially threatening to just take all of the controllers, right? I mean, in theory, they could have just, you know, taken pretty much all of them. And actually, TSM would go on to pick Phoenix and then Brim as well, right? Saying, well, you're not even going to get Viper Brim in there, right? We know that if you only have Viper, that's pretty limited smokes, right? You have to kind of tell us where you're going and whatnot. How are you going to smoke mid with just Viper? So then No Future are kind of forced to pick Harbor as well. Really, really, really interesting, right? To think about this. It's very strategic and it's very, very difficult to, you know, make the right outcome, because we've ended up with two team comps here. One where there's one duelist in the game. One side has 3 initiators. The other side has no initiators. One side has all of the dome smokers. The other side has no dome smokers. Absolute abject chaos. And I absolutely loved it. And it produced a banger of a game. Let's start with the very, very first round, where TSM are on the attack, so the team with the Astra, Brim, and the Omen, and No Future are on the defensive side. And straight away, we've got some interesting things, right? We've got this Viper wall that comes across kind of the whole, you know, side of the map from A onwards there. And what we're going to get here, and this is kind of the beauty of playing triple controller that no one ever does, is it allows you to go to places that you normally couldn't get to, even on a pistol round where you don't have full utility, right? Because what TSM are going to do here is they are going to attack and come up to the window. Now, normally this is something that you don't normally see, and the reason is because you need a lot of smokes to do it, and normally you're only playing one controller on Ascent, right? So you have to do this smoke here to help you know, kind of cross into this, but then you probably also want to smoke off this, right, so that you can cross into there, but then you also have this little area here that maybe needs smoking off as well, so you can cross through the window, and then you probably also want to get this smoked off as well to actually come in onto the site, right? So this is normally far too much, right? For what most team comps are on this map, this is normally too much, and most teams won't try this, right? But when you're running Brim, Omen, and Astra all together, yeah, you can actually do this, right? And so let's take a look at them doing just that. You can see we get the early smoke in here, and that is what they're gonna do, right? They're gonna come down and they're gonna do even a, you know, a kind of weird smoke that you don't normally see, which is on the other side of the A site here, just in this little pocket. They're gonna Omen flash down here. We get a Skydog there. There goes that Brim smoke, right? They push this Fade all the way back, and they're gonna start to come in, right? They smoke this off as well, and now we get a big battle. We actually get a Harbor wall coming out from No Future as well towards the window. They eventually come past that. Great Phoenix flash by Corey, and now we end up in this nice little battle here where we go 1 for 1 just there, and we end up in this 4v4, but we've ended up in this very weird spot. Now, you might have just seen earlier a Skydog was coming down here. Actually, the Viper and the Sky have pushed through A main, and we've got our Brim coming back this way. The site is now theirs, but obviously there is a problem here in A main as well, as the Phoenix continues to kind of explore down there. Nature actually does see Bjorn, get a big tag on him as well through the wall, and the spike goes down. We're in a 3v4, very interesting situation, but the thing is, as we just get a one-way, and Nature ends up in a bit of a weird spot where he's kind of being pinched from two directions. He's also about to get revealed by this Sovadot, so he's being attacked from here. He's just been seen as well there, so he's in a bit of an awkward spot. But we've got this Phoenix who's come all the way back round, right? Because we've taken this space earlier on, because we've cleared out Heaven earlier on, we can afford to just kind of leave someone there and then have them loop back around and get aggressive, and you'll see that that will pay dividends here for TSM. Now, Nature does manage to just about escape. He does get revealed by a Fade Horn as well, but here we go. Here's Corey, manages to get that kill, wisely gets away as well, making it difficult for that Sova now, because now this Sova is thinking, like, at any point, Corey could come back, but now he has to deal with this one way as well, so he's kind of in a bit of a awkward spot there, but he just decides to run away, far away Corey. The battle ensues in on the site. Nature gets another kill there, but gets traded out. We end up in a 2v1. And Corey is going to decide to play this, just as passively as possible, basically. Just going to leave GMD just to kind of die on the site, take that 1v1, just play time as much as he can here, Corey. As you see, just, continue to play time and eventually will win the round just there. And TSM will win the first attacking round, doing a bizarre strat that normally would not be possible with most team comps, but it was with this one, and it was very, very interesting to watch. But now let's come to another bizarre round, which was round number 4, and what we're going to see in this one is we're going to get an early cascade here from the Harbor that pushes down towards B main. This was something that they commonly did here in No Future, and come and take B main with the Prowler in there as well. Very interesting. Early Skydog comes through here as well, as you can see. We've got a Viper Wall across mid, as you can see just there. And we've got the big group of TSM towards A. And what's about to happen is, you might have just seen it, a little flash coming out from the sky. They try and swing, but pretty much 4 of TSM are there, so they actually die in that instance. We end up in a 5v3, and you think this is just going to be round over. But this is something that happens in a lot of ranked games, and annoys me as well, as we get the Phoenix ult and Corey pushes very deep. This is something that, does happen quite often in ranked games, which is what GMD is about to do, which is you're in a 5v3 and someone decides to push Heaven. This is always something that has annoyed me, because it just seems like everyone does it. It's not even just GMD, like literally everyone decides to do this. And it's baffling, because it often does, just give the opponents a chance into the round. Because, you look at GMD's position here, he's all alone. There's no trade available if someone swings around here, right? There's nothing going on there. He's just taking a 1v1 fight, and you're in a 5v3, right? Potentially a 2v1 fight, even maybe a 3v1 fight in this position, right? That all of them could swing around that corner at the same time. It's not unlikely. And yeah, you just gift them a kill, basically. And I don't know what it is, but the temptation is just so great for a lot of people, it seems, to do this. But you're going to see that GMD, he tries to tuck himself into this corner and, put a smoke on himself. Little nice idea, right? But it's a bit too late, and Curry just come around the corner and gets a free kill, right? And we end up in this situation. Good dart here, and now also Nature is going to be caught off. And Curry, who was going pretty crazy, to be honest, to start this game, continues to. We're then going to get also a Harbor Wall in here, just curving around like that. But we have this really nice flank from Seven, who's going to come in behind and going to manage to chop down Riku from behind, as you will see just there. Curry gets another kill on the site, and actually the spike gets dropped down. So now we get a Killjoy lockdown in there as well to try and retrieve the spike. And so they run away, obviously, from the Killjoy lockdown and try and get back into Wine. But just at that moment, Seven's going to swing around the corner and manage to get the kill. So we end up in a 2v1. But again, Curry was just popping off early on. Sends out a Prowler, and initially I thought this was coming towards the Phoenix. I think maybe even the Phoenix thought that was the case as well, but it's actually coming towards Seven instead. You'll see it'll take a little turn in a second. And what happens is, after that, Curry swings, actually does manage to get that kill, then swings again off the Prowler and gets an ace. Crazy, crazy ace. But yeah, please stop going to Heaven, especially when you're outnumbered. If you're down a man, fair enough. I'm not going to criticize it. But if you're in a 5v3, just play safe, right? Just stick with your team, play safe, trade the kills, and you will win the round. Unlike this, but a very nice ace from Curry, it must be said. And now let's come to another chaotic round, round number 9, where what's going to happen here is we are going to... It's actually a bit of a save here for TSM. They don't have great guns. They get an early Astrosuck in there, early Viper Molly in A main, and they come and take this A main control. Also, they're playing, a bit aggressive in B main as well, and kind of giving up this mid area, as you can see. But that's going to punish them. And obviously, one of the things about this comp that No Future have is that they don't have any sentinel, right? They don't have any kind of trap to kind of tell them what's going on in any area, which can make it a bit difficult. They do have 3 initiators to try and tell them, but there's nothing reactive there that they can just leave. And so what happens is, as Hazed is kind of walking up here to A, and this Viper manages to get a kill on Hazed, the Sky is then drawn towards this, and they use one of their many smokes to, kind of fake as if they're about to come in here and do this. So the Sky is kind of drawn towards that, where in reality, there's 4 of them walking through short, and they're about to go and kill this Sky and then take a lot of space, as you can see. So, like a moth to a flame drawn in there. They know that this Viper's here, so they send in mollies and whatnot, and they send in a lot of utility. They put a Brim Smoke down just here as well, but Bjorn is actually going to send in a Viper Spit, and this just adds even more chaos, right? Because now there's a massive Viper Spit, like, coming in onto the site, and so you really don't want to have to plant here, because this is just a problem. This is just too much chaos. It's too much to ask for. You can't hold all this space. It's such an easy entrance point, for any defenders who might be, either coming on a big flank or coming through the door as well, right? Like, if they just decided to, oh yeah, let's just plant here, they'd probably be in a lot of trouble because of where this Viper's Pit has gone. So yeah, they decide not to plant straight away, and they do the right thing here, TSM, by attacking Heaven, right? And again, it's the same thing of like, this is a very important thing, I think, to understand if, to get a lot of free kills, basically. It's understanding and lurking particular as well with this. Understanding where people are drawn to, like we saw with the Sky, right? When these guys came through here and they got a free kill in the Sky because they were drawn towards main. The same thing's going to happen here where, some of these players get drawn to all the action going on over here. And so our Killjoy is going to manage to get a free kill, which really does change the round, as you will see. So you can see the No Future are pretty diligent here, right? They're kind of ready for this. They even get a 1-for-1 there, which is fair enough. But now you'll see that our Harbor starts to come up through the window as well. And there's the kill that 7 needs. And now they're in this, basically just this fight with the Sova. And they win that fight. And now the B site is open up, right? So now they can just decide to quickly run away. And if we just play this a bit quicker, because it's going to last a little while here, as you will see. But really interesting round, right? And I think a good round to kind of show and understand, like, if you are like lurking, or if you are trying to find a different angle to come from than your teammates, perhaps, understanding who's taking contact, who is like, where are people looking, right? Where will people be looking? This is something that like, I always think of Jing and this kind of thing, because Jing is just a master of coming out of smokes at the right time. He seems to have a sixth sense of where people will be looking, and his timing is really good, and he gets a ton of kills like that. This round was a pretty good example of that as well, that TSM would ultimately win. And now let's come to round number 19. So we swap sides now. No Future on the attack. TSM are defending, and what you're going to see, and straight away you can kind of see this as well, is TSM are playing pretty deep, right? The Brim is pretty deep here, the Killjoy is pretty deep, this Phoenix is deep, the Astra is deep, and the Omen is deep as well. They're running this really deep setup, and I don't quite know why they are doing that, but what that's going to allow to happen here is No Future, with their triple initiators, are going to just create pressure basically everywhere, right? And it's just going to freeze everyone on TSM, because they don't know what's going on. So what you're going to see here is we've got an early dog down here, and maybe a part of this, by the way, is that no one can buy an op. There is no like opping agent. It was kind of weird that no one picked Jet, to be honest. It was kind of a weird pick. But what's going to happen is they send the dog down mid, they send a flash in here as well. They're then going to come and destroy the turret in B main, as you can see just there. Smoke comes in response from TSM, but now they decide, okay, with the smoke here, they're now going to come in and try and attack mid as well. This harbor wall comes up just here as well, and you can see that the doubt starts to creep in, right, from these players from TSM, right? They start to doubt, like, well, this could actually be a hit. This Astra starts walking across as well, but what you're going to see is actually we're going to drone down mid. Sova's going to drone down mid. The Sky is going to follow it. No one is really there. But actually, they start to come back towards A instead. So Drone sees that no one is in here. The Sky gets tucked up, nice and aggressive. Sends out this flash, right? Sends out a flash there as well, just to, again, kind of convince, oh, this could be a B hit, right? But then what's going to happen is we're going to get a Fatal back towards A. And you're going to see in comes that Fatal, right? And we get a Phoenix Molly in response in here. We're going to get an Omen flash down towards A main as well. And you can see that TSM at this point really have little to no idea of what is really going on, right? You see that they start to rotate with that fatal, but then they realize that, oh, the hit isn't there yet, so they come back. Then a Sky Flash comes down here again from No Future, right? And TSM at this point, I think are a bit bamboozled, and everyone is just kind of held in position, right? There is no rotations, there is no idea of where they're going, and actually they're coming back to kind of the one place where they haven't shown anything really, which is A main, right? This is kind of the one area of the map where they haven't really used any utility so far. They used some early in B main. They've shown presence here, they've shown presence here, but they haven't actually shown anything here just yet. But what's going to happen is we're about to get a pretty insane Phoenix ult. So a Harbor ult comes in onto the site as well. So Harbor ult comes in here as well, and we start to get the XQ, right? Dark comes in, all of that. So they start to go for this XQ, but a really, really nice Phoenix ult by Corey manages to get the first kill. He then gets hit by a Silver ult as well. This is a bit of a crazy round. Flashes in, and then he's going to come in and just start spamming. The ult dies, but now Mocking on Sky has decided to, take this opportunity coming back from mid to run up this way, get the kill on Corey just there. So we've got that kill back, and then they're going to enter onto the site here and just manage to absolutely mop up. GMD's kind of on his own, as I said, because everyone's kind of held in position. And then Mocking goes even further and manages to get Haze up through the window here as well. We end up in this 3v2. We then get a Brim ult as the time is running low to try and stop the spike plant. It does. Mocking's in this position. Little tip for everyone that I learned from this game: don't stand here. Doesn't work, apparently. As he dies there, we end up in this 2v2, but they are going to manage to find the kills. As you see that Seven was probably just trying to either stop the spike or kill the spike planter there, knowing that they couldn't be around Gen with the Brim ult. But BO will finish it off just there and win the game for No Future. Now this game would ultimately end up at 13-11 to TSM. They would go on to win the match, but it was a thoroughly entertaining game, and I think that this format, for this kind of tournament, this is kind of what I was looking for, right? Not just oh, this is a bit of a weird, quirky comp that, you don't see too often. No, this is bizarre. You wouldn't even see this in a ranked game. This is truly just absolute craziness. This is kind of what I was looking for from this tournament, and this game definitely delivered.